Hey fan freaks, James again. Yep, better lighting, different camera angle, different camera altogether. While we get this series started, we're ironing out some kinks, figuring our things out. This series is not only a little experiment and a movie marathon type thing, but it's also an experiment for the future of fan freaks and, Canon Fire and all of our YouTube stuff and video related stuff. We're gonna try to do things a little more legit from now on. But so here we are, movie number 2 in the MCU marathon, and we've got the Incredible Hulk from 2008. Um, Amongst a little particular group within fan freaks, this movie is a little divisive. I personally really enjoy this movie. I enjoy all the actors in it. I enjoy Abomination. I enjoy so many things about this movie. I thought it was super cool when it first came out. So, without further ado, here's the Incredible Hulk. This days without incident counter was a good little mechanic for them to put in the movie. What happens to the dog? Oh, I remember when I first saw this, the control he has over his abdomen and his diaphragm, it weirded me out. This movie is where I first found out about the whole using crazy glue to seal a quick wound trick. Never heard about that before. He didn't even kind of look around for a second drop or anything. He was just like, "Oh, that must have been the only drop. That's it." Don't make me hungry. You wouldn't like me when I'm hungry. When this movie first came out, I really liked Edward Norton as Banner. It's not that I don't like him now. I just I like Ruffalo so much more. Ruffalo just has this keeping a monster inside air about him that I don't think Norton had. So I actually got to thinking a while ago, what happened to Mr. Blue after this movie? And turns to come to find out that they actually do, because he's kind of never brought up again. But turns out that there's a follow-up comic to this, and he's in a shield tube of bubbles somewhere, just on ice, basically. I like how even his blood cells turn green and hulkish. It's not just a superficial change he goes through, it's cellular. See, now unlike Gwyneth Paltrow, I do have very special feelings about Liv Tyler. But I'm nowhere near as fond of Betty Ross, sorry, as I was of Gwyneth Pepper Potts. I don't know. She's probably one of the weaker parts of this movie for me, to be honest with you. The MCU got off to a pretty great start with their villains, between Jeff Bridges' Obadiah Stane and Tim Roth's Abomination. It was pretty. So two really solid performances. Oh, doggy! I'm really glad they've kept William Hurt as Thunderbolt Ross. He's a sumbitch, man. He's just so perfect for that role. You know what I don't get? At the end of the last movie, before this one, he speaks perfect Spanish. So if he's running away in South America, why would he settle in the only country that doesn't speak Spanish? That's something else I really wasn't fond of, and I love the current version of Hulk so much more for, is I've said it before. I call this version of Hulk Kevin Klein Hulk. Calvin Klein. That's what I meant to say. Like he's too like statuesque almost. Like he's got a thinner waist. He's more, he's got a more defined T shape or V shape rather. He doesn't have as much of that like tree trunk stumpy build that they gave back to Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, which I'm glad they did. He's almost like too pretty. With all this liberal spraying of green liquid, I'm amazed no one turned into a supervillain just from that. Is the Incredible Hulk an allegory for like drunk stupidity? Is that a thing? I think he might be. Days without incident. 1. What's the distance between where he was in Brazil and where he ended up in Guatemala, I wonder? Yes, the classic Hulk theme. It's little inclusions like that really make, bring your entire history with a character, it culminates here. Also, I really want to know where the Hulk and Wolverine get their pants. Because they're the only pants I've ever seen that are that reinforced and that elastic in the shorts area. Okay, I've actually got the subtitles on. And the subtitles for the part where he's buying pants and goes, "Tienes más stretchy?" which is him bastardizing the translation of "Do you have something more stretchy?" It said "Quién es más stretchy?" which is who's stretchier. They're two totally different sentences. Especially when you consider that immediately precedes him like sizing the pants up to a larger person in the crowd. By this point they had to have known they were going to make a Captain America movie. So why not mention, there was only one success and we've been trying ever since or something, I really think there needs to be more Tim Nelson in general. Tim Nelson being the guy who plays Mr. Blue. There just needs to be more of him. I think he's great. Oh, and there's Liv Tyler. They say he's a head shrink, but a really nice guy. Wow, that was some really bad product placement. The Norton 360 protection. Oh. I so strongly associate Ty Burrell with Modern Family now that it's weird to see him in anything else. So Betty Ross, jeez Betsy, asked for a Mr. Pink. There's a character in this movie named Mr. Blue, all in a movie that has Eli Roth in it, who was in Reservoir Dogs. I feel like Tyler is really good at the non-verbal part of all of this. Like, it feels believable. But something about the dialogue when she's expressing that tension between her and Bruce, it's not. Man, I'll tell you what, I think Marvel, or well, I guess this isn't even Marvel, this is Universal. But they really perfected that look of like that super soldier run. It's not super speed, but he's definitely faster than everyone else. They do it here, and then they do it with Cap, obviously. Man, he straight up looks like video game graphics now. Like this looks, Hulk looks like a PS4 game character. It's insane. These sonic weapons were actually really cool. Oh, this is such a great scene. Is that all you got? Oh. Ouch. I wonder what a Hulk hug, like a gentle, like cradle, like what he's doing to her right now, feels like. If I remember in the comics, his body temperature supposedly runs really high. See, this scene actually looks pretty good in terms of the CG for him. I don't know why, but in that first scene in the yard there, it looked really video gamey, cartoony. Hey, given the way that Betty and Banner wake up in the morning, it's almost as though she actually like fell asleep on Hulk, like like the way you fall asleep on Totoro, like just on top of him. I can't get too excited. Not even a little excited. Sucks, man. Going off on the cab driver is great. Oh, this part where the vertebrae start to bulge out of him. Thought that was really gnarly. And also it reminded me of the scene from Space Jam when one of the Monstars are transforming, you see this vertebra go. It reminded me of that. This is a really cool scene. Him transforming on the lab table. It's so just visceral and like reminiscent of like a werewolf transformation almost. I really like Tim Roth's almost like drug addict approach to the power. It drives home this desperation and why he becomes this monster. Abomination was cool, man. It was just done so well. I mean, it's simple. It's just an anti-character, you know, like the negative version of the hero character. But for the purposes of this movie, it was awesome. It gave us some of the coolest action scenes in the MCU. You know, I know he's got other things going on, but if I were Blonsky and I turned into Abomination, I'd be a little worried about where my went, you know? Oh, I love this scene. Him using two halves of a cop car as basically like punching gloves. It's so cool. Smash! Yes. Wow, this scene where they have the spotlight from the helicopter on him looks really unnatural. Like, not necessarily inherently... Oh, no, it does look bad, but I don't know what it is about it. And I know how difficult that can be. But that particularly looked probably the worst he looks in the movie. You always wear such nice suits. Haha. So that was The Incredible Hulk. I like this movie, man. I really do. It resonates so well with what I want from a Hulk movie. We're not going to talk about what happened in the predecessor to this movie. This movie, however, delivered a really awesome Hulk experience. It delivered an awesome just villain fight, some awesome fight sequences between Hulk and Abomination, the Hulk and the military in the courtyard. All of that was great. Um, Things I didn't like I said, not much. Just Liv Tyler's performance is a little unnatural at times. It's not specifically bad, but it's unnatural. Like, it's not believable. It's weird. It's like she's speaking differently than her body's behaving. Um, Other than that, there's not much to hate about this movie. Don't get me wrong, it's not my favorite MCU movie, but it's up there. It's this was awesome. Graphically, it doesn't really hold up. At best, no, there are some scenes where he looks pretty good, but throughout most of it, he looks like a video game. And there's some scenes, like I said, with that spotlight that just look outright bad. Um, that's yeah, and I mean, there's not much else to say. It's a great flick. I'm excited to move on though to Mark Ruffalo because I think Mark Ruffalo really nails the character. So, what do you guys think of this movie? What do you guys remember being your first impressions? What do you remember, liking and disliking about it? Let us know in the comments down below or in the discussion on the group. If you want to join the group, remember to find us on www.fanfreaks.net. From there, you can get to our Twitter, our Facebook, our YouTube right here. You can. It's basically a great portal to find out where we are and what we're up to. Other than that, this has been James. That's been the Incredible Hulk, and I'll see you later, freaks.